Hi, welcome to Import. In this video, we are going to start with the numericals of cost sheet. As already discussed, cost sheet comprises of four components of cost. These components are prime cost, which is equal to direct material plus direct labor plus direct expenses. That is, all direct cost is known as prime cost. The second component is factory cost, which is equal to prime cost plus factory overheads. All expenses incurred in factory are known as factory overheads. Third component is office cost, or it is also known as cost of production. So it is equal to factory cost plus office overheads. And the last component is total cost, which is equal to cost of production plus selling and distribution overheads. So these are the four components of cost, and cost sheet comprises of these four components in order to calculate the total cost. And when we divide the total cost with the number of units produced, that is our output, we get cost per unit. So cost sheet helps in calculating the total cost and the cost per unit of a product. This is the format of cost sheet. See, we have direct material plus direct labor plus direct expenses. We add all the direct costs and we get prime cost. Now we add factory overheads to prime cost to get factory cost, or it is also known as works cost. Now what are the examples of factory overheads? All indirect expenses incurred in factory are known as factory overheads. The indirect material of factory is consumable stores like coal, fuel, lubricants, greasing, oil. These are the indirect material of factory. Now we have indirect labor in factory also, like supervisors, we have foremen, we have guards. They are indirect labor of factory. And indirect expenses of factory are like depreciation of plant and machinery. Plant and machinery are located in factory, so it is a factory expense. Repairs of plant and machinery, again repairs of plant and machinery are incurred in factory, so it is a factory expense. Power is used to run the machines, so it is again an indirect expense of factory. When we add all these indirect expenses incurred in factory to the prime cost, we get factory cost. Next, we add office or administrative expenses to the factory cost to get the cost of production. The examples of office expenses or office overheads are expenses incurred at office, like stationery. Stationery is indirect material of office. Salaries of a peon, salaries of a clerk, salary of a manager. These are indirect labor available in office. So it is indirect labor of office. And expenses, indirect expenses incurred in office are depreciation of furniture. Furniture is there in office, so it is an indirect expense of office. So we add these expenses to the factory cost and we get the cost of production. And the last part is selling and distribution overheads. Now we will add selling and distribution overheads, that is expenses incurred at the time of selling and distribution of goods, like advertisement, salary or commission of salesmen. We add these expenses to the office cost or cost of production and we get the total cost in cost sheet. Now let us solve the questions. We have example 1 in front of you. So let us read this example first. Now If you look into this example, see, we have raw material consumed, which is direct material, wages paid to labor, which is direct labor, and directly chargeable expenses, also known as direct expenses. These three expenses are direct expenses. So we can write here like, this is direct material, this is direct labor, and these are your direct expenses, part of prime cost. By adding these three, we will get prime cost. Clear? Now, next, oil and waste. Oil and waste are used in factory. So this is a factory overhead. Wages of foreman. Again, foreman works in a factory. So again, this is a factory overhead. Then storekeeper wages. Storekeeper is a term used in godown, and in godown we store raw material. So again, it is a factory expense. Power is word used in factory. It is again a factory expense, right? Now lightning. Lightning is segregated into two parts, factory lightning and office lightning. So factory lightning will be shown as a factory overhead and office lightning will be shown as office overhead. Rent, again it is segregated in two parts. So factory rent will be shown as a factory expense and office rent will be shown as office overhead. Repairs, again factory plant will be shown in factory overhead. Machinery is there in factory, so it is also a factory overhead, and office premises is a office overhead, right? Now depreciation. Depreciation of office premises. So it is an office expense. Depreciation of plant and machinery. Plant and machinery is in factory, so it is a factory overhead. Consumable stores is a term used for coal, fuel, lubricants. So it is available in factory, so it is a factory overhead. Manager is there in office, it's a office overhead. Director is also there in office, so it is an office overhead. Office printing and stationery, again office overhead. Telephone is generally in office, so it is again an office overhead, right? Postage and telegrams are a word used in office, so it is again office overhead. Salesman commission. Salesman is there at the time of selling and distribution of goods, so it is a selling and distribution expense. Traveling expenses means traveling expenses of salesman, so it is again a selling and distribution expense. Advertising is done at the time of sales, so it is a selling and distribution overhead. Warehouse charges. The word warehouse is used to store the finished goods. Once the goods are produced, it is meant for sale now. So warehouse, we keep the goods for sale, so it is again a selling and distribution overhead, right? So we will write here, sorry, so we are going to write here selling and distribution overhead. And carriage outward means the carriage paid at the time of sale of goods, when the goods are going out of factory, so it is again a selling and distribution overhead, right? So now we have segregated all the expenses, so let's start solving this question. Let's make a format, right? Yes, now this is how we are going to write here rupees, and these are your particulars. right? So let's start. We had raw material. Raw material was 20,000. We had wages paid to labor. So labor was 5,000 and direct expenses rupees 1,000. So the total prime cost is 26,000, which we are going to show in outer column. Now we are going to add factory overheads to this, right? So factory overheads, we had foreman wages, amount was 1,000. We had oil and waste, it was 100. We had storekeepers wages, as 500. Electric power was 200. Factory light 500. Then we had factory rent 2,000. Next is repairs. We had repairs of plant 500 and repairs of machine 200. So total repairs are, repairs of machinery is 1,000. Let me correct it. 1,500. Right. So I'll continue on this side. Right. Now after that we had depreciation of plant rupees 200 and consumable store as 100. Sorry, 1,000. So when we will add, it is 1,000. So when we will add all the factory overheads to the prime cost, right, we will get factory cost. So factory cost is equal to, by adding all these expenses shown in the inner column, the total of this is, I think it will come out to be total is 7,000, right? So total factory cost we are going to show in the outer column as 33,000. That is 26,000 plus 7,000 factory overheads. So factory cost is equal to 33,000. Now we will add office overheads to this. Add office overheads like office light, office light 200, manager salary, salary 2000, office rent 1000, director fees 500, printing and stationery, I'm writing just printing 200, telephone 50, postage 100, then we have repairs of office premises 200, and the last is depreciation of office premises as 500. When you will add all these, you will get cost of production, which is 37750. Right? Now we will add selling and distribution overheads. So these are like commission, I'm writing here only commission, plus traveling expenses, plus advertising, plus warehouse rent, right, and plus carriage outward, which is equal to 1550 when we add all these expenses, and we'll get total cost as 39300. This is our total cost, which is our answer. So hope you are clear. Let's have a look at the question. See, we added direct material, direct labor and direct expenses. We got prime cost as 26,000. Then we added all the factory expenses like oil and waste, wages of foremen, storekeepers wages, electric power, factory lighting, factory rent, factory plant and machinery repairs, depreciation on plant and machinery, consumable stores, etc. to this, and we got the factory cost as 33,000. Then we added office overheads to it, and the office overheads, by adding all the office expenses, we got cost of production as 37750, and at last we added all the selling and distribution expenses, and we got the total cost as 39300. So we got all the components of cost in this, right? Now we are moving to the next question. So this is our next question. In this question, it is different from the example 1 because here we are given with the opening stock of raw material and the opening stock of finished goods, closing stock of raw material and the closing stock of finished good. So we have not done the treatment of this opening and closing stock till yet. So in this question, we'll be doing treatment of opening and closing stocks. So let me make you clear. First of all, the opening and closing stock of raw material are, the opening stock of raw material is added to the raw material purchased and the closing stock is deducted from the raw material. Sorry. Now we are going to start with example 2. Example 2, in this example we are given with the opening and closing stocks of raw material and finished goods. So we have not yet done the treatment of opening and closing stocks. In this we'll study how do we show opening and closing stock of raw material and finished goods in the question. So let's do this also. This is our example 2. Now we are going to draw a format. Let's make a format. Again the same format. Right? Now, so we start with the opening stock of raw material. When we are given with the opening and closing stock of raw material, we start our question with the opening stock of raw material, which is 50,000. Add raw material purchased, which is 5,000, minus closing stock of raw material, which is 4,000. So we will get raw material consumed. In previous question, we were given with the raw material consumed, but in this we have to calculate the raw material consumed. Now 50 plus 5 is 55, minus 4 is 51,000. So raw material consumed is 51,000. Now in this example, let us segregate the expenses first. This will be shown in prime cost. This will be shown again in prime cost. This will be shown not in prime cost. This will be shown in cost of production. This will be shown in prime cost. This will be shown in cost of production. Finished goods is always shown with the cost of production. Raw material purchased will be shown in prime cost, right? And wages paid to labor, again prime cost. Chargeable expenses means directly chargeable expenses. This will be shown in prime cost. Rent, rates and taxes. Now rent, rates and taxes, we mean by this rates, when the word rates and taxes is used with rent, we consider it as rates of excise taxes and all. So that is why we are going to add rent, rate and taxes in factory cost, right? Power is a word used in factory. So factory cost, factory heating, factory cost, factory insurance, factory cost, and then experimental expenses. Experiments are done in factory, so again it is a factory cost expense. Now sale of wastage of material, here we mean that the material which was waste we have sold that, so it is not a cost, it is a revenue and it will be deducted from the cost of raw material. So I'm writing here minus from raw material, deducted from raw material, right? Office salary is an office expense, stationery is an office expense, salary of salesman is selling and distribution expense, traveling is of salesman, so it is a selling and distribution expense. Now this sales. So when we will calculate total cost from this question, what we are going to do with the sales. So sales are used to calculate the profit. Sales minus the total cost, which we will calculate from the cost sheet, we'll get the profit, right? So it is used to calculate the profit. So now let's start again. Raw material consumed is 51,000. So that means we have to deduct minus sale of raw material, which I told you, sale of wastage. It will reduce the cost, wastages of raw material. The amount is 200, I suppose. 200. When we will deduct this, we'll get cost of raw material consumed, which is 50800. This is our net raw material consumed, right? Now we will add direct labor and then the direct expenses to this. So direct labor is 10,000 and direct expenses are 12,000. We will get prime cost. So total prime cost here is, let's calculate. Prime cost comes out to be 72,800. 72,800. Now add, once we have calculated the prime cost, we will add factory overheads to this. So factory overheads are like rent, rates and taxes. Rent, rates and taxes. The amount is 5,000. Then we had power 2,400. We had heating expense 2,000. You can even check this. See, we have already marked. This is like, see, rent 5,000, power 2,400, factory heating 2,000. Now factory insurance and experimental expenses we are going to add, but we are not left with the space, so I'll have to draw the format again. Second half, let's divide it. Let's divide the screen. So it is, I'm writing here only. Continuing. So after heating we have insurance, factory insurance. Insurance is 1,000 and we have experiment expense, and the experimental expense was 500. Now this will give us factory cost. By adding all these expenses, we will get factory cost. So factory cost comes out to be 83,700. 83,700. Total of prime cost and all these factory overheads. So 83,700 is our factory overheads. Now after this, we will add office overheads to factory cost. Add office overheads. Now office overheads are like, we had, let me check. So we have office salary, stationery, two office overheads, okay. Salary, which is office salary, and the amount of office salary is 4,000. And then we had printing. Oh, what was that? It is, yeah, stationery, sorry. We have stationery expense. And the stationery expenses 200. Sorry, this we have to write in inner column, 4,000, and this is 200. Right? Now we will add these two expenses, 4,200, to the factory cost, and we will get cost of production. So cost of production. Cost of production will be 87900. 87900. Now what we are going to do is we are going to add selling and distribution overheads to this. But before that, we have opening and closing stock of finished goods. So I told you earlier that opening and closing stock of finished goods are to be added with the cost of production. See, we have three type of opening and closing stocks. We have opening and closing stock of raw material, which is added with the raw material purchased to find out raw material consumed. Just like this, just like we have done in this question. Opening stock of raw material, closing stock of raw material, and we calculated the raw material consumed, right? And similarly, if we have second type of opening and closing stock is opening and closing stock of work in progress, which is added to the factory cost. If we had opening stock of work in progress and closing stock of work in progress, we could have added that in if we have opening and closing stock of work in progress, we need to add that with the factory cost, right? Now we have opening and closing stock of finished goods, and opening and closing stock of finished good is to be added with the cost of production. So add opening stock of finished goods minus closing stock of finished goods. So what is the opening stock of finished goods? I think it's 4,000, and closing stock of finished good is 5,000. We have to deduct the closing stock. We will get a new term which is known as cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold, COGS, right? It comes out to be 89,000. Sorry, it comes out to be 86,900. 86,900. Now we will add selling and distribution expenses to this. Add selling and distribution expenses, overheads. We will get total cost, like salesman salary and commission. Salesman salary was rupees 2,000 and commission is 1,000. So we will get total cost. So total cost is equal to 89,900. Now we are given with the sales. Sales is 1 lakh. The difference between sales and total cost is profit. So profit is the balancing figure, which comes out to be 10,100. So This is how we will be doing this question. Now let us study the another example. Now in this example, we are given with the opening stock of finished goods, opening stock of raw material, and opening stock of work in progress. So we know that opening stock of finished goods will be added with the cost of production. Opening stock of raw material will be added in with the raw material in order to calculate the raw material consumed, and opening stock of work in progress will be calculated with factory cost, will be added to factory cost. But in this question, we do not have closing stocks. So let's see what is there in this question. Now see, this is like finished goods will be added with, I'm writing here, cost of production, right? Raw material will be added with the raw material consumed, and work in progress with the factory cost. Then we have direct labor, it is a part of prime cost. Purchase of raw material, it is a part of prime cost. Indirect labor is a part of factory cost. Then we have heating and lighting. Heat is used in factory, so it is again a part of factory cost. Factory insurance is again a part of factory cost. We have plant repairs, a part of factory cost. So then we have depreciation of factory building. So depreciation of factory building is again a part of factory cost. Then we have plant depreciation, again it is part of factory cost. Now we are given with the factory cost of goods produced. So we are also given with the raw material consumed, and we are given with the cost of goods sold. Generally we used to calculate these things, but now in this question we are given with these things. We are given with the factory cost, we need not to calculate the factory cost. We are given with the raw material consumed, and we are given with the cost of goods sold. So in this question, we have to calculate the missing information. So let's see what is missing in this question. I am doing this question here only. It will be more easier for us, right? Sorry. Now, we all know that opening stock of raw material, which is 10,000, plus purchase of raw material, which is 98,000, minus closing stock of raw material, which is missing, we will get raw material consumed. Now let's check what is raw material consumed. We are given with the raw material consumed as 95,000. So I am writing here 95,000. Now we can calculate the missing information. So 10 plus 98, 1,08,000, and this is 95,000. We'll get the missing part here. So it comes out to be 13,000. The difference is 13,000. So 13,000 is our balancing figure, right? So we have calculated closing stock of raw material, which was not given in this question. Now in raw material consumed, we will add, what are we going to add now? Yes, direct labor. So direct labor is 1,60,000. Now we are going to add 1,60,000 and add direct expenses. Now we are not given with the direct expenses, so we will get prime cost. We are not given with the prime cost as well, so that means direct expenses are nil. Direct expenses are nil, so we will get prime cost. And the prime cost is, by adding everything, we get prime cost as 2,55,000. 2,55,000. Now in this prime cost, we will add factory expenses. So let's see factory overheads. So factory overheads are indirect labor 40, indirect labor 40,000. We have heat and power, as 20,000. We have factory insurance, I'm writing insurance 5,000. Then we have plant repairs as 3,000. Factory supplies 5,000. Depreciation total 16,000. Depreciation is 6 plus 10, 6,000 plus 10,000, 16,000. So depreciation is 16,000. We will get factory cost. Or factory cost is equal to, by adding all these expenses, factory cost comes out to be 3,44,000. Right? So I'm continuing this question on the next page. I think I have not selected the pen. Right? So we have done till factory cost. Now the factory cost, I'm carrying forward that balance here. Factory cost was 3,44,000. Now to this factory cost we will add opening stock of work in progress and closing stock of work in progress, and we will get factory cost of goods produced, which is given to us in the question. We will add opening stock of work in progress. Now what was that opening stock of work in progress? The amount is 14,000. So add 14,000, minus closing stock of work in progress, which is missing again. This is our balancing figure, and we will get factory cost of goods produced. Right? Factory cost of goods produced. So we are given with that as 2 lakh factory cost of goods produced. Here it is 2,80,000. So let's take this balance, 2,80,000. Now the difference between this and this is our closing stock of work in progress. So it comes out to be 78,000. Right? Now we have calculated factory cost of goods produced. Now we are going to add office overheads to this. We are not given with any office overheads, so we will get cost of production directly. So cost of production is same, 2,80,000. Now we are going to add selling and distribution expenses to this cost of production. Sorry, we are given with the opening and closing stock of finished goods, which is added with the cost of production. So add opening stock of finished goods minus closing stock of finished goods. So opening stock of finished good was 50,000. I'm adding here. Closing stock is, we have to find out, this will be our balancing figure, and we will get cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold. So cost of goods sold is given to us in the question. It is cost of goods sold 1 lakh. Here it is 1,60,000. So 1,60,000, and the balance comes out to be 280 plus 50, 330 minus 160. The balancing figure is 1,70,000. So now in this question we have calculated the closing stock of raw material, closing stock of work in progress, and the closing stock of finished goods. Now we will add selling and distribution expenses, overheads, sorry, to this, which are again nil, and we will get total cost. Total cost as 1,60,000, which is our final answer. Thank you.